Hollywood. This is Harrison.
Harrison with you. This is Go Harrison. Back with Jay Ponti here. Great activist, known throughout the country now, connected to an HBO special with Josh Fox, having done so much good work. And we're just jumping in for a quickie here to finish up our conversation. Oil is really still the plot of the play, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, we're seeing that happening right now geopolitically. And right now, people, you ask what's next right now. And a lot of the Bernie activists, a lot of the people that the Bernie Sanders campaign brought together are now working to support the tribes at Standing Rock to stop the Dakota Access Pipeline, which is a big thing. So an oil company is trying to move their oil through ancestral burial grounds, for instance, and through the Missouri River. And guess what? Pipes break. It's a bad time.
Well, we here in Los Angeles have witnessed many ancient pipes, going back to the 1920s, bursting on Sunset Boulevard, flooding the Hollywood Hills. I mean, a lot of multimillionaires have had their lawns ruined. So bursting pipes can be irritating.
It's a bad time.
And if it's oil, well, that's different.
Yeah, and for them and for the people at Standing Rock, this is actually their life. This is their water. So respect our water. And what you can do to contribute, very simply, if you have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, you can just make a sign like this that says, "Stop the Dakota Access Pipeline." And we're asking the Army Corps of Engineers, we're asking President Obama to put together an environmental impact statement. And also to support, standing for people's rights and choosing life over profit, basically. So.
Well, and that is the plot of the play. We've got corporations that are moving. We were talking earlier about the Trans-Pacific Partnership, in which corporations would have the final say. Many of us are already suffering that in our own lives. We see the effects of what NAFTA has done. We see where this is all going. And if that happens, much as the current lawsuit, the Canadians are suing, and we're suing them back, and all these corporations are suing because of the Keystone Pipeline, which didn't go through, but it looks like it's going to go through now because it violates the NAFTA agreement. Much as if a guy in Mexico grows a strawberry for 3 cents, but it costs 65 cents in California, he's not allowed to grow it in Mexico for 3 cents because it violates fair market. And guess who sets fair market? The United States.
Right. I have to say, I've just come back from a 9,000-mile trip in the last 8 weeks, working with the activists that the Bernie Sanders campaign has brought together. And I have to tell you, the absolute genius of the Bernie Sanders campaign, over and above him actually talking about the Trans-Pacific Partnership and talking about the standard of living, $15 an hour, single-payer health care, all these things, he has brought together the most incredible organizations, the most incredible activists. The celebrities who came up to support him are now real activists. Shailene Woodley from the Divergent series is now putting her body on the line to stop this pipeline in North Dakota, and she's been there in support, in solidarity with the tribe.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to be encouraged by. We were together in Orlando for the Democratic Platform Committee, and we discovered that actually when you have people inside the party, these activists that Bernie brought in inside the party, and you have activists that are organizing outside, we actually were able to help pass in the Democratic platform one of the most progressive pieces for climate change that we've ever seen, which is pretty extraordinary. And just to talk about the NAFTA real quick, on that journey, on that 9,000-mile journey, I was driving through Nebraska. I was driving through the
Talk
heartland.
to me.
And
Yes.
hello, Terry. So I was driving through Nebraska, and some of these towns were ghost towns. And I talked to the farmers there. I stopped to, I was with Anthony Rogers Wright from Environmental Action, who's also a policy advisor. And, we stopped in to talk to some other climate activists who are actually farmers. And we interviewed some of the farmers around there, and they were absolutely decimated by NAFTA. So,
And just because not everyone remembers what NAFTA is, some people might have been little kids when Bill Clinton passed it. It allows anybody who wants to compete with another country, the United States being the center of the universe.
Yeah.
So if another country adjoining us wants to do something cheaper, they're not allowed to. They do it more cheaply than it costs the United States. The United States sues them, or if it's Mexico, we simply take their farm away from them as punishment permanently. So NAFTA has also allowed exporting of millions of jobs in the U.S., which is what we see now. It's like, well, where's the factory? I need a job. I'm sorry, it's in China.
Yeah.
That's NAFTA.
In these towns, I mean, really just talking to the people that were really let down. And this, for me, all of this has really comes down to climate change also at the end of the day. Because guess what? We are out of time. We're absolutely out of time. And where we need to be declaring war on climate change and carbon emissions, right now, this is a huge opposition to every environmental standard we're trying to save the planet. And you'd think, these corporations would understand that they live on the same planet. So I'd also encourage people to see Josh Fox's How to Let Go and Love All the Things That Climate Can't Change, which is on HBO right now.
And on demand on HBO.
It's on demand on HBO, a host of community screening. And I will say that there's a lot to be angry and disappointed about, but I would also say that there's a tremendous amount to be encouraged by, because millions of people are coming together right now, and we have awareness, and we are actually creating the world that we want to live in.
Perfect. What a great way to end. Harrison, with us, with you, with me, with all of us. You can follow us anytime on Facebook, keyword Go Harrison, one word, as well as Twitter @Go Harrison, and on Instagram, same thing. I want to invite you on a one-time only special trip to be one of the first people to sail to Cuba in 50 years. With interior cabins for a week-long 5-star luxury cruise ship voyage around the entire island of Cuba with multiple port calls starting at only $16.98. Be among the first in 50 years to see Cuba while it's still the Cuba that people talk about. And I want you, by the way, to come to Cuba with me. All you have to do, and we have a handful of cabins left, this thing is being funded and underwritten in part by a travel company that wants to open a footprint on behalf originally of LGBT people, but it's for all the humans, to create a footprint into this new country. Now, despite what people think, the wall has not come down. The only thing that happened is President Obama flew over there with some hoteliers. So in the next couple of years, they'll pave it, and they'll probably extract a lot of the 57 Chevys. But right now, this one-time only trip is going to be totally affordable because it's underwritten. It's about $1,600. You can get in on it right now. So go online, go to HeTravel, one word, hetravel.com/go. Like Go Harrison. HeTravel.com/go. HeTravel.com/go. Join me, and also you can get laid by a nice Cuban.
Ay, coño.
Ay, coño. Speaking not of coños, but of good people, we have next to me well, I know. How do you transition to that gracefully? You really can't. Speaking of transitioning, but I don't think that's the right
No, I don't. You want to take a mulligan?
Jay Ponti is a very well-known activist and organizer here in Los Angeles. As a matter of fact, your footprint goes well beyond L.A., now all over the entire United States. You're involved in HBO documentaries, all over the place, because you're part of the solution, helping us figure out what's next. Earlier, we looked at the TPP, interviewed an attorney about what is the TPP, how does it work, and let's start with that, because that's the money shot. The rest of this is a big moot point. If TPP passes, Trans-Pacific Partnership, where corporations can usurp even your government, which might, say that it's illegal for you to poison my drinking water, the TPP might say, well, but we can make a profit off of putting poison in Jay's drinking water, so the government can't stop us anymore. In other words, 7 billion humans end up dead, which might be the plot of the play. But then they lose their customers. I know. It's weird.
I think the previous segment brought up a really good point. It was with the ISDS, the Investor State Dispute Settlement?
System.
System. Basically, these private extrajudicial tribunals, which actually allow them to sue based on projected future profits,
right?
Not actual losses. And even if they lose the case, the state is bound to pay the damages and the legal fees. So basically, it roughly, I think, costs $8 million to sue the government as just to get some lawsuit going. So that's not even based on actual losses. It's based on projected future profits.
Right. And just to put this in perspective, the TPP was put together, Trans-Pacific Partnership, like Bernie Sanders, Trans-Pacific, three hand movements, click, 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 was put together in secret. You're saying, what do you mean in secret? The Congress did, no. Corporations put together a global trade deal. If you're familiar with NAFTA, which famously in 1993, Ross Perot, when he was running against Bill Clinton, talked about the giant sucking noise, all the jobs going overseas. And guess what? It did happen that way. It did indeed. And what this would do is allow the same thing, but on a global level.
It was actually 600 multinational corporations working in secret. And this is something that's important to understand. Your congressman was not allowed to actually take the document. The corporations were drafting it, but they actually had to go into a secret room if they wanted to read it. They were not allowed to take pictures of it. And this is actually not also talking about not just the Trans-Pacific Partnership, but there's also something called the Transatlantic Trade Partnership, and the trade investment, trade and services agreement, I think, which basically is the corporate takeover of planet Earth. Do you know what TTIP is?
Just the tip. Isn't what Obama said? Just the tip.
Yeah,
Don't worry about
it's
the
a rhetorical
shaft.
question because no one does.
Right.
No one knows. And I think it also begs the question, why do we have to keep finding out about this from WikiLeaks? Why do we have to find out about these things? Why do we have no transparency at the highest levels of government, the people we elect to actually represent our interests? And why is it that we have to find out from these whistleblower?
That's a really good question, why WikiLeaks. If you think about it, it really is no different from back when we actually had a proper media, proper fourth estate, when we had a Walter Cronkite, who would go on TV and say, now let's take a look at what went on in Vietnam today, for real. Back when we had people like I.F. Stone and H.L. Mencken writing in 1926 covering the Scopes monkey trial, stuff we never would have heard about, real journalists. Well, now WikiLeaks is that. It really is that. They're doing that job. Everyone else is still a fucking liar.
Well, imagine.
Did I use that as a gerund or?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes, good.
Yeah,
okay,
good.
that's important.
That's good.
Yes.
Yeah, important. Yeah. The main thing is, like, imagine the world you live in without the Snowden leaks, without WikiLeaks, without Guccifer, without all these things, Right. And this is really the front line of transparency as we're entering into basically, if you want to look at the future, if Mildred wants to understand what the future looks like, watch the Hunger Games. And it's not alarmist. This is really the direction we're heading. Already, things that have happened. There's a Swedish nuclear company sued the German government for $3.7 billion because they tried to phase out nuclear power. We know nuclear power. Ever heard of something called Fukushima? Kind of bad news, Right?
And our own President Obama just allowed $1 trillion.
$1 trillion.
$1 trillion to update our nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
Now, why would you update for $1 trillion nuclear weapons if you didn't intend to use them?
I have.
Right.
Can
but
I
this
phone
is
a
the thing.
friend?
It's kind of the same thing. It's all this money being distributed throughout all these corporations that have skin in the game. And the thing is, as taxpayers, we don't feel like we have skin in the game. We have a little foreskin, but that's about it. So it's kind of a limited droop, if you will.
Just the T-tip.
So as we come to a close, that went awfully fast, didn't it?
Yeah.
What's the call to action? I know you've got some events coming up that are going to speak to this.
There's a lot of calls to action happening. It's a huge conversation happening right now. There are a lot of different ways to get involved. I would say for people wanting to see what's next with the political revolution that the Bernie Sanders campaign started, brand new Congress is organizing. There's the Fight for 15. There will be a mounting multi-coalition effort to raise awareness and to try to stop the lame duck passing of the Trans-Pacific Partnership. So you can definitely go online, see who is my congressman. Good to know. And so really, we really do need to start mounting basically join the effort to stop the corporate takeover of planet Earth.
Yeah, because once they've taken it over, it's done.
Yeah.
It's irreversible. So when in doubt, be an activist. Head on out. This is Go Harrison.
From Hollywood, this is Harrison.